Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you guys my favorite foundations that I think are amazing. This video is for you if you want to buy your first foundation ever, or you have a foundation already but maybe you don't like it so much and you want to switch, or you just want to add to your collection. This video is going to help you, it's going to kind of point you in the right direction so that you know what kind of foundations to look at. Luckily, I have done reviews for all these foundations that are in my top 5, and I will link all those reviews down below so that you can go and watch the review of the foundation you'll identify with most at the end of this video, and then now make up your mind as to whether or not you want to buy it. So I have 5 foundations and I'm going to tell you about them from 5 to 1. Yeah, from the least favorite, which is, they're all favorites, but the least favorite to now, like the one I think is the best ever. And the best part is that all these foundations are under 2,000, which personally I feel for a foundation that's actually pretty affordable. In the States and other places it is drugstore. So in position 5 is the Suzy Beauty Liquid Foundation. I really like this foundation quite a lot. This foundation I believe goes for about 1,400, which is extremely fair. So this foundation has a very natural like finish. So when you wear this foundation, you don't look like you've done the most with your makeup. You look like you have this inner glow from within, and that your skin is just doing well, and not necessarily like you've put on a lot of makeup. So if you're into that kind of a finish, then this foundation, you're going to love it. It also says it's full coverage, which I think it is, and the best part is that it's buildable. So even if you don't get the coverage you want the first time around, you can always add and it won't look cakey. It also has SPF, which is always good if a foundation has SPF. And throughout the day, it performs fairly well. It's not the best considering I have normal to dry skin. If you have oily skin, then this foundation will give you issues in that you'll constantly have to keep touching up. So it does get oily. But other than that, it's a really good foundation. But there's a reason why I've put it in position 5, and that reason is that these foundations, so the beauty foundations, tend to be a little bit more on the cool toned side. So they tend to they can make you look a little bit washed out and a little bit ashy, especially if you don't have a cool undertone. Like I have a warm undertone, so when I put on this foundation, it makes me look very cool. I don't know how to better explain that. Let me insert a clip here of me with the foundation and without the foundation so that you can more or less get an idea of what it is I'm talking about. So that is my only con when it comes to this foundation, and that's the reason why I've put it in 5th place. So in position 4 is the Maybelline Fit Me Foundation. This is an excellent foundation. It says it's matte and poreless, so it mattifies the skin. But the thing with this, the way it mattifies your skin, it doesn't do it in a drying way. There's some matte foundations that are extremely drying to the skin, and they're just not very comfortable. But this one is comfortable. You don't get overly dry, but at the same time it's like a velvety matte finish. So if you're into full-on matte foundations, then you might not enjoy this one. Let me say the price. I think it's also at about 1,400 if I'm not wrong. Now this foundation, like the Suzy Beauty foundation, gives you a very natural finish. So it just makes you look like you've not done too much with your makeup, and I know there are people who are really into that look. So if you like that natural finish, then this foundation is definitely for you. Also, something to note about this foundation, it's extremely comfortable. Actually, you will forget throughout the day you have foundation and you'll go scratching off your foundation. It also lasts really well throughout the day, and it has some sort of a glow, which is why I'm saying if you're into full-on matte foundations, then you're not going to like this. The coverage on this is pretty good. It's not the best, it's not in terms of like complete coverage, but again, it is buildable. So if you have a lot of acne scarring or acne and stuff, it's very easy for you to build this foundation up to the full coverage that you need or that you want. Also, something else for me that I love, because this foundation would probably be in the same category as the Suzy Beauty one, but they have different formulas for different skin types. So you can get one for normal to oily skin, normal to dry skin. You can get a formula that matches your skin type, which I think personally is amazing. Okay, in third position is one of my favorite foundations. We have come from so far with this foundation, you guys. It's the Black Opal Stick Foundation. This is the foundation I learned how to wear foundation with. This is the foundation I started off with. I mean, I love this foundation. It goes for between 1,800 and 2,000 depending on where you buy it. What I love about this, okay, this is not my shade. This is really dark. My shade is here. Okay, but it's over, but there we go. So what I love about this foundation is the coverage. I don't think I've ever used a foundation that has the coverage Black Opal Stick Foundation has. The coverage is insane. So if you have a lot of acne scarring, acne, blemishes, hyperpigmentation, and you really want to cover it up in an affordable way, then look into the Black Opal Stick Foundation. Other than that, I feel like Black Opal has really managed to get the black woman's skin tone, because their foundations are not too cool toned. They're very warm, very rich, very pigmented. So your melanin is still, you know, like it looks good. It doesn't make you look ashy or washed out. You look very vibrant when you wear the Black Opal Stick Foundations. Now, unfortunately, with all the good things there are to say about this foundation, if you have oily skin, don't even look at it. Like, look the other way, because this foundation will let you down. But if you have dry skin, normal to dry skin, you can use this foundation, but it doesn't last well throughout the day. And even with dry skin, I still have to touch up this foundation throughout the day, which is because it gets very oily, especially around the T-zone, and it just looks very, doesn't look cute, you know, and then it transfers a lot. So this foundation, the cons are really cons, like they're really there, but the pros are, I think if you have normal to dry skin or dry skin, this foundation is worth it despite the cons. Okay, so now the last two foundations, I really went back and forth trying to figure out which one would be number 2 and which one would be number 1, and it was so difficult. To be honest, both of these are my favorite foundations, and if you know me and my channel, then you know what foundations I am talking about. So in position 2 is going to have to be the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour foundation. I love this stuff so much. Okay, mine is so dirty. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. So this foundation is just bomb. I love the coverage, you guys. As someone who has struggled with their skin, I am still struggling with my skin. I have struggled with it in the past. This foundation really did it for me. It covered everything, and on top of covering everything, it's still comfortable, because you know you can get a foundation that is really full coverage but it feels so heavy on your skin, but this is very comfortable, and on top of that, it doesn't get cakey. So I love this foundation. It wears so beautifully throughout the day. I literally don't get any oil on my face when I wear this foundation. It doesn't separate or anything like that. It literally just stays put. So let me insert a clip now of me with and without this foundation so that you guys can see how insane the coverage on this is. Now, I don't have any bad thing to say about this foundation, but the reason why I have put it in position 2 instead of position 1 is because I feel like if you don't get your perfect shade for this foundation, then it's a bit hard for you to work with it. Okay, so you have to really match your foundation quite well. This foundation is like about a shade lighter than my skin tone, and I find it extremely difficult to work with it or make it work. Unlike other brands foundations, if you go up one foundation or go down one foundation, then you can still more or less add things to warm up your face or tone it down and make it work. But for this one, it can be a bit difficult, and we all know how hard it can be to match a foundation to your exact skin tone. So this can be like, if you get your perfect shade, then there you have gotten the perfect affordable foundation. But if you can't, then you will run into some issues. Now the number one foundation, you guys guessed it, is the Revlon Colorstay foundation. This is my baby. I love this foundation so much. All the good things I've said about all these other foundations, it has them, and all the bad things I've said about these other foundations, it doesn't have them. It's just such a good foundation. It also has different formulas for different skin types, just like the Fit Me. So it has combination / oily, dry / normal. It has different formulas for different skin types, and it also has SPF, which is amazing. It wears beautifully throughout the day. And the reason why it beat out the Maybelline Superstay is that the shades are really A1, and even if you don't get your perfect shade, you can be able to work around that. But this foundation is extremely skin-like. It looks natural without looking like you haven't done any makeup, if it makes any sense. Like, you won't look overdone, but at the same time it won't look like you haven't done anything whatsoever to your face. So this, number one. So I didn't mention the price of the Superstay. It goes for between 1,900 and 2,000, I think. I think officially by Maybelline it's about 1,950, and then the Revlon is more or less the same, 1,800 to 2K depending on where you buy it. And then I feel compelled to mention, for the Black Opal stick foundation, there are tons of fakes in the market, so you have to be really keen. So make sure you buy this from a legit place like Linton's or Good Life Pharmacy. Otherwise you will be applying a counterfeit product on your face, which is never good. So I really hope you guys have figured out what direction you need to go in terms of your new foundation, your first foundation or your second foundation, or just a new foundation. Please comment down below with your favorite affordable foundations that are less than 2,000, or of these 5 that I've mentioned, which ones do you love and why? I also want to see if there are any foundations that I can get my hands on and review for you guys before you decide to buy. Also, like I said, I've reviewed all these foundations in detail, so I'm going to link all those reviews in the description box down below. So the foundation you feel you identify with, you can go ahead and watch that review. So hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video and if I pointed you in the right direction. And of course, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.